Hello, this is Jill Tiny with her very special guest, John Barfoot, at the BeCollaboration Journey of Possibility. So I'd like to welcome you all here today. As you know, we interview one of our collaborators, find out what it is so special about collaboration for them, why they're part of the BeCollaboration movement, and a little bit more about who they are being and what their purpose is and what they want to achieve in their life and for other people around them. So I'm really excited today to have John Barfoot here because I've known about John and I've known John for probably 20 years on and off. So it's really exciting for me to kind of have an opportunity to have one-on-one conversation and delve a little bit deeper into what makes him such a special man. So John, welcome to our podcast today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Lovely to have you here. So in the beginning, when I invited you along to a BeCollaboration meeting, what were your first thoughts? What was going through your mind?
Right. I thought, first of all, it was just a network meeting, and network meetings can be useful in the print trade. Get to meet quite a few new contacts. But at the first meeting, I discovered it was not just another network meeting. In fact, a friend of mine who I brought along to a meeting described it well when he said he came in the room and he was looking for the alpha male.
Oh, yes.
And he couldn't find him. And so it's a very pleasant environment, which is devoid of the alpha male or female.
Indeed.
And
yeah.
I think at the first meeting, Jerry was doing a know and be known, and he spoke from the heart about his background and his aspirations and his orchard in France or wherever it's going to be. And I got an insight into the depth of relationships that are promoted within BeCollaboration, and that I found attractive. So does that sum up what I found? At the first meeting, I thought, this is very interesting. I'll look again.
Yeah.
I think I came along to perhaps two more before I said, yeah, I'll join.
Yeah. That's what I think a lot of people are saying is what they anticipate it being. It kind of leaves them slightly off kilter because, well, I thought it was that, but actually it's not. But I'm not really sure what it is. So I'll go again and have another look and see what it's about. Interestingly, talking about Jerry, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing, as a lot of people that come to do their know and be known presentation, it's like, I don't know what to say. I'm not really sure, how can I talk for an hour about being a surveyor? There's not that much to talk about. Where normally you go to networking and maybe you get a 10-minute presentation and that's it. And you fit everything in and you do your pitch. And obviously BeCollaboration isn't about the pitch. I think there's probably, when you did your know and be known not so long ago, people were going, what does he do again? They knew more about you as a person than they did about what you did for a living. But Jerry sat down with me to work out his know and be known. And we just went back to what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, although I'm a surveyor, I think I've fallen into that. We seem to have lost John for the moment. His iPad's taking a call. So I'm just going to carry on the story and hope that we're carrying on recording. And hopefully that John can hear me and get back. So Jerry went back to what he was passionate about, and he remembers as a child hiding in a bush. Hi, John, back again. I don't know if you heard me carry on the conversation.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Lost you completely.
Oh, these things happen. No worries.
Yeah.
I was just kind of filling in the story about Jerry when he started, how he wasn't necessarily a 5-year-old child who said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a surveyor. He kind of
he certainly wasn't.
Goes on. But what he was passionate about was nature. And he said he would be found sitting in a bush somewhere looking at all the creepy crawlies and all the berries and the leaves and things.
Yeah.
And he would while away many a happy hour. And so I said, so what do you want in your life? And he went, well, I would love to be able to have an orchard and make my own cider.
Yeah.
And I was like, so how's that plan going? He went, well, I've done nothing with it. It's always been a dream and done nothing with it. Well, since he incorporated that into his know and be known, and a lot of people were like, wow, that's a really good idea. That would be fantastic. Yeah. He's gone off and he's now shopping. He actually put a deposit on a field somewhere so that he could plant in England, in the UK, to get his orchard going. Now, I don't know how far down the road it's going to go, and the potential for it is huge. And once he's got this place, I would love to have a little piece of the action and have a retreat for BeCollaboration. And maybe there's a collaboration in the making just sitting there. But he didn't cotton on to the fact that his dream had been stunted and he'd just been allowing it to be in the back of his mind rather than the forefront of his mind until such time as he'd done his know and be known.
Yes.
And
I've got a couple of dreams which won't be fulfilled. One,
okay.
I wanted to be an MP, but I got involved in politics far too late.
Oh, really?
You really? Yes. I sat on the selection committee for Mark Prisk, who's our current MP, and we interviewed a lot of people, and they were all young, they'd been to university, they were eloquent, they were so far advanced in the political sphere, they were miles ahead of me. So I saw what was required, and I also saw the age that was required.
Do you think?
Because before you can get a safe Conservative seat, you have to take on an unsafe one. You get your Spurs in the north of England, where you go to a seat which wouldn't go Conservative, and you have to fight it. And that way you can then apply to a safe seat constituency to be selected for election. So what am I, 65? So
yeah,
the next
but look
general
in
election,
America, what happens in America quite often comes over here. So Harold is
older statesman.
And
well, that would be lovely. But I mean, even Mark Prisk, I'm not sure, I think mid-50s. He says he's too old now for a ministerial role, so he's just a backbencher. So that one I've left behind. The other one, be an architect. 7 years at university. No, that's not going to happen. So there were some dreams that didn't get fulfilled.
Well, I still think you could do it. I still think there's things you could do. You know, you don't necessarily have to make a living out of it, but you can do the qualification and you can do it for your own pleasure.
Well, I quite respected Jerry that he actually went back to studying as a mature man and changed direction. That I can't do now because I'm looking to actually finish working, looking towards retirement, and working voluntarily with the church.
Okay.
So that's my passion.
That will keep you.
I shall use my energies there.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about John then. Let's fill in the blanks, you know, family, location, business, and, you know, any sort of things that have happened to you as a result of BeCollaboration. So just fill in some gaps.
Right. Family, stable family. My immediate family. Yes, I'm married to Anne. Been married 43 years this year.
Yeah. Got married when you were 12, didn't you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. 3 grown-up daughters, various stages of matrimonial relationship, and I have 2 grandchildren.
Wow.
Which is lovely. They're adopted grandchildren, but they're little beauties.
But they keep you busy.
They do. We've just had a weekend away, all the family, at Centre Parks, and so Anne and I were chief cook and bottle washers while everybody else was running down the rapids, or whatever you do, swimming down the rapids. So that's the family background. Live in Bishop Stortford, in a normal house in a normal town.
Normal. What's
so
normal?
There's nothing really exciting. The good thing about the house situation is that we bought here in the 1980s, early 80s, and when house prices were affordable.
Yeah.
And
that airport made them all go crazy, didn't it?
Well, house there was prices. The airport, the M11, the M25, and it's all, and so now we're a commuter town and the houses are ridiculously priced.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth about 15 times what we paid for it.
And there's nowhere to park.
Our situation here is good. We back onto Birchhanger Woods, which is lovely. So I've got a nice view. If I have a look, I can see our magnolia climbing up into one of the trees in the woods. So a very, very pleasant situation, which is great. It's family home. It's quite large for Anne and I now because we're empty nesters. And we're looking to the future at maybe downsizing. But that's in the future.
Yeah. So what about the day job? Tell us about
what about the day
as opposed to who you be.
Well, so in 1985, I left working for Rank Xerox, where I was a service engineer, and I wanted to work at home in the community, to be a part of the Bishop Stortford community. And so I set up in business as a jobbing builder. And I earned my living doing that for 5 years before I then developed a photocopy business in 1990 called CopyZone.
Bit of a difference, isn't it? Builder?
Total difference. Yes. Right. So when I left Xerox, I looked for a job that would pay the mortgage
Mm.
at an extortionate 17% inflation rate in those days.
I remember them well. Yeah.
Quite a high hill to climb.
Mm.
But there wasn't a job locally that paid as well as London. And so I looked at my options, and I can paint, decorate, build. I more or less do anything, and learn on the job. And so that's what I did. And
Yeah.
so for 5 years, that provided an income.
Right.
I didn't prosper at it because I couldn't subcontract work successfully. I'm not of the building trade.
Mm.
And I found that people were at best dishonest
Mm.
and
That's at best. Wow.
unreliable.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put my name to other people's work if they were
Yeah.
working without supervision.
Yeah.
And so I decided to move on from the building trade and go back to photocopying, Xerox.
Mm-hmm.
It's the trade I came from. And so gamekeeper turned poacher, or is it the other way around? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like service engineer to machine owner. I then opened a copy bureau. And in 1990, copy bureaus were valid because people didn't have little printers at home that did their
Yes.
copying and scanning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we did quite a big trade in letting people come in and do their own copying on one of our machines, 5p a copy, and they would honestly tell me what they'd done and pay them, go
Wow.
away. So little things like that. So we became the friendly copy shop.
Yeah.
And started that in a barn behind some shops in Newtown Road in Bishop Stortford.
Okay.
And humble origins, but it grew.
Yeah.
And it grew. And every copy customer seemed to want printing. So I found a printer who would print for me and marked up the prices and sold it on. Then I learnt to print and got a printing machine. Then I got too busy and employed someone and kind of went from there.
The rest, as they say, is history.
It's history. It certainly is. I mean, that was 29 years ago.
Right.
And so the company has been successful. We had difficult years because, we started in a recession and we've had a couple of recessions since then. And the big one, now in 2007, I heard on the news, they said when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Flipping heck, the rest of the world caught a cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we were away actually on a trip visiting some friends in China in 2008 when Lehman Brothers collapsed. Right. So we didn't actually hear that news. We just came back and everybody was talking gloom and doom, and it wasn't good. And so in 1999, I set up a scanning company as an offshoot of CopyZone. So we had CopyZone Archiving Limited, and we were scanning for solicitors and doing lots of it. I think we had 6 scanning stations at one time with ladies working, boxes stacking up everywhere. Yeah, it was a lot of turnover. But the collapse hit the solicitors trade, and we had to go into liquidation with that. So I picked up the remnant of the archiving company and a debt. Pleased to say that earlier this year, all the debt was paid off.
Wow.
We still have the remnant of the work, and we have a little portion of our business, which is profitably scanning for solicitors.
It's interesting, isn't it, that you say, all this time later, you've managed to get rid of the debt from that business not working. There are so many people today that you hear of that have a failing business and one day put the business under and then the next day start all over again. No. And they don't appear to have that integrity around paying who they owe.
Yeah.
It's just, that company's gone. Sorry, can't do it.
Yes. Well, we did leave 2 debts, one with the Inland Revenue, one with Customs Excise.
Oh, well.
We let them sit there.
Does that count?
And, well, yeah, I know. They were 2. There's probably about £10,000 there that didn't get paid. But because of the season we were in, they didn't pursue it.
Right.
We were content just to leave it. And that's the way it has been. So I think a lot of debt was written off during those days, huge amounts.